While getting my annual physical, the doctor asked why my fingerprints changed from last year. Dr. Walsh pressed my right index finger to the biometric scanner and frowned. He tried my left thumb. Nothing. He cleaned the scanner and tried again, then pulled up last year's fingerprint scan on his computer screen and had me press my finger directly next to it on an ink pad. The patterns didn't match. Not close, not similar. Completely different. Ridge patterns, whorl positions, everything had changed. He stared at both prints for a full minute before speaking. These aren't your fingerprints from last year. I laughed because fingerprints don't change. Everyone knows that. You're born with them. You die with them. They're how we identify bodies when nothing else works. Dr. Walsh didn't laugh. He called in his medical assistant, had her scan all 10 of my fingers, then compared those results to my file going back 8 years. Every previous scan matched each other perfectly. Then this year, suddenly, completely different prints on every finger. Dr. Walsh asked if I'd burned my hands, had skin grafts, suffered any trauma that would destroy the dermal papillae. No, no, and no. My hands looked completely normal. No scars, no damage, no explanation for why the unique biological markers I'd been born with had somehow been replaced. He scheduled an emergency consultation with a dermatologist who specialized in skin abnormalities. Dr. Yuki Chen examined my hands under magnification for 30 minutes, took tissue samples from multiple fingers, photographed every ridge and whorl. She confirmed what Dr. Walsh had discovered. The fingerprints I had now were fully formed, mature ridge patterns that had clearly been there for months, maybe longer, but they weren't the ones I was born with. She showed me the cellular structure under her microscope. The new prints had integrated perfectly with my existing skin tissue. No scarring, no grafting evidence, no indication of any surgical alteration. It was as if I'd simply grown entirely new fingerprints. Dr. Chen asked if I'd had any cosmetic procedures, worked with harsh chemicals, or been exposed to anything that might affect skin cell regeneration. I worked in IT support at a mid-sized tech company called TechCore Industries. The most dangerous thing I touched was coffee that was too hot. Then she asked about medical trials, wellness programs, or health screenings in the past year. That's when I remembered something so routine, I'd completely dismissed it. 2 months ago, TechCore had upgraded our entire security system to biometric scanners. Every employee had to register their fingerprints at stations they'd set up in the main lobby. But before the actual registration, they made us put our hands in these calibration units for 30 seconds each. The technician running the setup said it measured skin conductivity and moisture levels to optimize scanner accuracy. My hands had tingled afterward, almost like mild static electricity, but I'd assumed that was normal for the sensors. Dr. Chen's expression changed completely when I mentioned the calibration units. She immediately called Dr. Walsh back in, and they both started making urgent phone calls while I sat there wondering why a security scanner would matter. Within 90 minutes, 2 investigators from the state medical board arrived and started asking detailed questions about TechCore's security upgrade, the installation company, and whether I'd signed any consent forms. I hadn't signed anything beyond the standard employee acknowledgement that we were switching to biometric access. The investigators took photos of my hands, collected all my medical records, and asked for a list of every employee who'd gone through the registration process. They told me not to discuss this with anyone at work yet, especially not with TechCore's management. One investigator made a phone call that I partially overheard. She used words like unauthorized biological alteration and corporate espionage protocol. The investigation moved faster than I expected. TechCore's biometric security system had been installed by a shell company called Secure Identity Solutions, which had approached dozens of mid-sized tech firms offering discounted security upgrades. But the calibration units weren't measuring skin conductivity at all. They were using microsecond electrical pulses combined with a proprietary chemical compound to permanently alter the dermal layer where fingerprints form. The new prints being generated weren't random. They were copied from a database of deceased individuals whose fingerprint records existed in law enforcement systems, but whose deaths had never been properly documented in biometric security networks. Someone had figured out how to steal the fingerprints of dead people and graft them onto living employees at tech companies with valuable intellectual property. With my new fingerprints, I could access secure facilities, sign legal documents, and leave biometric evidence at crime scenes, all while the prints would trace back to someone who'd been dead for years. The FBI found 82 employees across 6 different tech companies who'd had their fingerprints replaced through the same fake security upgrades. Secure Identity Solutions vanished completely. Servers wiped, offices abandoned. 3 TechCore employees, including someone from our legal department, were arrested for facilitating corporate espionage.